Before we jump in, let's be real. This podcast contains jokes, laughter, and a whole lot of real talk. Yes, we cover serious crimes. Yes, we add a little humor, but never, and I mean never, at the expense of the victims or their families. If you're sensitive, easily offended, or the type to clutch your pearls every time someone laughs during a true crime story, this may not be the podcast for you. But if you like your true crime with a little bit of spice, a lot of honesty, and just enough petty to keep it fun, welcome to Melanin Mysteries, baby. Let's get into it. Welcome to Melanin Mysteries, where the tea is piping, the stories are chilling, and the truth, it never shows up quietly. So today we're digging into the tragic and twisted tale of Lorenzen Wright, an NBA star, Memphis legend, and yes, a former Cleveland Cavalier. And as y'all know, the Cavs just got knocked out of the playoffs again. But we're still holding it down for the hometown heroes. And Lorenzen, he deserved better than the ending he got. So this episode actually kicks off part one of a story that got betrayal, secrets, and a 911 call that still haunts investigators to this day. And trust us, by the time we get to part two, you'll realize the rabbit hole goes way deeper than just bad friends and bad choices. So grab your snacks, clutch your pearls, and let's get into it because this case might just make you side-eye everybody. I'm your host, Tiffany.
And I'm your co-host, Willie. Let's get it.
Hi, Georgetown 911, where's your emergency? Hello? 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 Son, I have nothing but gunshots. Hello? Hello?
See, you thought you were about to go home and get some good old loving, right? Instead, you got ambushed and inspired like spoiled milk in Memphis heat. And if you don't know nothing about Memphis, it's hot. It's hot to trot. So, Lorenzen Vern Gainey Wright, right? I don't know what's up with this middle name. Was born November 4th, 1975 to his parents, Deborah, Marion, and Herbert Wright Jr. in Oxford, Mississippi. His parents weren't married. It looked like they had a little situationship. You know what I'm saying? You know how it was back in the day where a man can have a family on one street and a whole other one 3 streets away. And unfortunately, they didn't have internet, so you had no way of figuring it out. So Lorenzen was a product of that. Lorenzen had several siblings. Not sure of all their names, but for sure a sister. Her name was Savia, and her brother Lauren, who unfortunately passed in the 1980s as a child. So primarily, Lorenzen was raised by his father, Herbert. Herbert was a pro basketball player himself in Finland. He tried out for the Utah Jazz, but didn't pan out. And the reason why was because he was sucked. No offense. He's good enough to pay him.
You know he sucked.
I saw the clips, man. The dude, yeah, he could play in Finland. You know what I'm saying? You play with a bunch of, you know what I'm saying, skinny white boys that's 6'1", then you bring it over here to the big leagues, man, it didn't pan out for him. So it's an unfortunate situation. So he ended up working for the Memphis Police Department. Now that's horrible. He went from a basketball player to a Memphis Police Department police officer, right? And unfortunately, when Lorenzen was 7, Herbert was shot in the back and was paralyzed and confined to a wheelchair. It's horrible. Lorenzen played basketball for Lafayette High School in Mississippi before moving to Memphis in his senior year of high school and playing for Booker T. Washington High School. He also played AAU basketball, which is more expensive than a mortgage on a $400,000 house. Just throwing that out there. I'm living it. You living it too with baseball.
Softball.
Yeah, whatever. It's the same thing. What's the difference between softball and baseball?
The ball. It's a whole different ball.
Oh, I was about to say something. I'm going to change, man.
We are not, it's too early.
And this is where he would, he thought that he met the love of his life. And she played it like a mistape, right? And I'm talking about the old school mistape. We talking about the old mistape from the 80s. She ran it back, then dropped him. But we will get back to that in just a few minutes. We're going to brag on our guy first. We got to talk about his accolades and what he do. So once Lorenzen finished high school in 1994, he went to the University of Memphis. Schools all across the country wanted him to come play for their schools. Lorenzen entered the NBA in 1996 as the 7th overall pick, which is pretty good, right? Drafted by the Los Angeles Clippers. So in his rookie season, he held it down, starting in over 50 games, averaging 7.3 points and 6.1 rebounds per game.
Okay, so let me stop you for a second.
Yes.
So in your rookie season, 50 games, starting in 50 games is a lot?
No, it's 80-something games, and so I don't know what's going on. So he was riding the bench a couple of them games, or he coming off the
He
bench.
was a rookie though, so I mean that's still a lot.
I mean, I get it. He just wasn't a dominant rookie. You know what I'm saying? He ain't come out blazing like the rookies we know. You know what I'm saying? So he just, I mean, granted, look, let's be honest. I'm talking my smack, but I couldn't even play high school basketball. My record was a -2 on the points, and I had 3 technical fouls. That's all I had right there. Seriously, man. So look, they say he played with grit. He given the Clippers solid minutes and a strong presence in the paint. And when the playoffs hit, he stepped it up. So he went from averaging 7.3 points to guess how much? 10 points. I know I'm hating. I'm so sorry. So he started averaging 10 points and 7 rebounds a game, right? Again, all jokes aside.
I mean, I don't follow sports at all.
I mean, this NBA. So it's 10 points. If you're doing 10 points a game, I mean, you're decent. You know what I'm saying? Again, this is the NBA. Like, this is the best of the best. Even the worst player on the bench is better than majority of players out here. You know what I'm saying? So, yes, I'm not going to hate. Yes, 10 points a game as a rookie. Then 7 points, 7 rebounds a game. So, yeah, especially in the playoffs, you know, because it's a whole different atmosphere. So, yeah, I ain't tripping. So he wasn't just tall, but they say he had heart, hustle, and real potential written all over him, right? So check this out. In 1999, he was traded to Atlanta Hawks and stayed with them until 2001. From there, he was traded in 2001 to the Memphis Grizzlies, and he was with them until about 2006. And then he was traded back to ATL. He stayed around for another about, I think, like 2 years before he played a single season with the Sacramento Kings. So he was that boy was in the road. He was traveling. He was I forgot what they called them type of players. That's always getting traded or whatever. You know what I'm saying? He was like a utility man. That's what they call him. You know what I'm saying? Like not really a dominant where he's making a big difference in the game, but he's useful. You know what I'm saying? And that's not taking shots at him. It's just, you know, it is what it is. So before one last trade in his career to the Cleveland Cavs in his final NBA season, which was 2008-2009. So he played with good old LeBron James. Lorenzen Wright suited up for the Cleveland Cavs. At 33, his role had diminished, right? He appeared in just 17 games, averaging 7.4 minutes per contest, right? So there ain't a lot of points. There ain't a lot of time in the game. So, you know, they probably put him in like the end, or maybe put him in and put a couple fouls on, a couple dudes, whatever. His contributions were very modest. 1.4 points and 1.5 rebounds per game. Trash. I'm throwing out this trash. All right, we're going to start trash. But his presence added veteran depth to the team on the rise. You remember you probably don't remember, back in that time, 2008, 2009, that's when the Cavs was always going to the playoffs. You know what I'm saying? So they're trying to figure their way out, figure themselves out. They needed some veteran talent, veteran of experience because they had a relatively young team. So though his on-court impact had lessened, Wright experience and leadership remained valuable inside of the locker room. But he wasn't just about basketball. No. That brother took charity work to heart. So in 2000, Lorenzen, Ted Day, and my boy Penny Hardaway, right? Do you know what shoe Penny Hardaway is famous for?
Yeah, I remember them shoes. Them Hardaways.
You know, that was...
What was that? Was that not it?
That's just like me saying, you know what shoe Jordan... Oh, yeah, I know what shoe Jordan good for, the Jordans. I mean, come on, it's common sense. You use his last name. Anyway,
I vaguely remember the shoes. I was in like
they were, if I'm the Penny Hardaway with the phone posh.
Okay, now first of all, you know I am not a shoe person. I don't give a damn.
You should have said that in the beginning.
I was
You
saying
said a
I
guessing.
remember the hearing about the shoes, but I've never been. I
You
don't
said
even
his last
live.
name, Tiffany.
I mean,
This
because I remember them being a brand back in the day. Damn. Okay, you can't even let me live. Gracious. You asked me a
I'm
question
just
and I answered it.
my bad. Okay. You know about the Finney Hardaway? Yeah. I think they were called the Hardaways. Anyway, so again, in 2000, Lorenzen, Ted Day, Penny Hardaway, Elliot Perry put their money together to help an orphan, Travis Butler. He also managed to finish his degree at University of Memphis in 2003.
So now we're gonna roll the clock back a little bit. So we mentioned that Lorenzen met the love of his life, but sis had more flags than the Dominican parade, and Lorenzen was kept waving back like everything was sweet. So when Lorenzen was in his senior year, like we said, he was playing AAU in Memphis. He about 17 at the time. So one day, this how it went down in my mind. Again, how it went down in my mind. There's always some little girls around coming to see them play, sitting in the stands, giggling and whatnot. But then there's this one chick in the crowd, and she just so happens to be the coach's daughter. Now, she should have just been coming to see her daddy, not checking out the players because they are in high school and sis is 22. Okay. So
Wait, hold on, wait. Old girl doing that right now. What's the girl name? What's the old girl name? That's
I don't know because there's
old.
too many of them and it's
Yeah,
nasty.
it's nasty. Yeah, man, leave them young boys alone, man.
I say
Nobody
because
want none of that
those
cougar
are
cat.
boys.
They
So
kids, man, and y'all, yeah, these old cougars trying to snatch them up, man. Leave these boys alone.
these little boys. So Sherra Yvette Robinson was born February 1st, 1971 in Memphis, Tennessee. Her dad's name was Julius Robinson, but I couldn't find any information on her mother. She attended Westwood High School before going to Tennessee State University. Now, like we said, the time they met, sis was 22 and she had no business staring at a high school boy. I mean, Lorenzen did look to be all man even at 17. He was already 6'11" and over 200 pounds. So Shira basically saw a teenager and still said, "That's mine." Ma'am, I'm gonna need you to be so serious and register because let's be real. If the roles were reversed, we'd be yelling, lock his ass up.
R.
And would.
Kelly all day long.
We
Know what I'm
would.
saying? It
But
is. It's a double standard with that though, and I mean that's just being honest. It's a straight
women can
double
be
standard.
women can be predators too.
We know that.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
So, but because she had a fresh pressing curl doesn't make it less predatory. I'm just saying.
Not at
So
all.
they start dating, if you want to call it that, because I'm sure Lorenzen still had a curfew.
In other words, she started molesting.
Yes. As Renee would say, a molester molesting that keeps molesting. Yes, I can't. This is bitch, you could have found any man you wanted to, but you playing around with a 17-year-old. But anyway,
17. Mm.
they got married in 98. And just a couple years after, that was a couple years after he was drafted into the NBA. And by 2002, they had 6 kids. Lorenzo was putting up numbers on and off the court because, baby, 6? That's not a
Man,
family. That is a full-blown starting lineup with alternates, okay?
she had a good spades hand, man. 6 and impossible in these streets.
Like,
Jeez.
damn. So they started in 95 with Lorenzen Jr. and they just
Mm-hmm.
didn't stop. So then came Lauren, Lamar, and Shamar. They were twins. And then there was Sophia and Lawson. And then they had their last baby girl in 2003, Sierra, but she unfortunately passed away before her first birthday and it was due to sit.
Okay, that joke I just said did not sit right now that I heard that part. I apologize for that.
Well, we was
'Cause
talking about the 6, not the
I said
that.
6 and impossible.
Oh, well,
I apologize. After
well.
the 6, they just started sliding out. There was not even no push. They just started walking out.
So in Sierra's memory, Lorenzen started the Sierra Simone Wright Scholarship Fund. And I'm sure this really did a number on their marriage because I can't even imagine losing a child. Now, there were claims of cheating on Lorenzen's end, of course. And then maybe the cradle robber thought she was exempt because she locked him down early. I'm not sure. But even with all this kids, like, they living it up. Lorenzen's making that NBA money. So there was never a shortage until there was. So when Lorenzen retired in 2010, and you're used to living a certain lifestyle, it's hard to scale back. They said Lorenzen made over 55 million in the course of his career.
Damn.
But by 2010, just a year after he was retired from the NBA, they were basically broke, like MC Hammer broke. And like we've seen in past cases, when the money gets funny, so does the marriage. Suddenly, what's mine is yours turned into that's my Range Rover, actually.
Mm-hmm.
And the
All
strain,
me.
and the strain of life just started to overwhelm the marriage. So Sherra and Lorenzen got divorced in February of 2010. Now, check this. As part of the divorce settlement, Sherra demanded that Lorenzen take out a $1 million life insurance policy just in case, since they had 6 kids, right?
I get it. What's wrong? I understand that.
Right.
Just
I
want to
mean,
make sure the little biracial kids. Well, they ain't biracial. I'm tripping, man. Little kids taken care of. Usually basketball players marry white women, but this case that wasn't the case. But yeah, I get that.
that's only
Million,
because
okay,
she was a pedophile. That's the only reason why.
that's true
Um,
too.
so Lorenzen was paying $16,650 a month in child support. God damn.
I mean, I was like, man, keep them kids. I don't even want to see them no more. I don't even know if they mine.
And I ain't trying to be
$16,650 a month in child support, man. That's, I mean, seriously, at that time, just take me to the king.
funny. Like, that's insane. Like a month? I mean, I know y'all got 6 kids, but y'all know, like, doubling down with the Doricos, they got, what was it? They got 14 kids. Well, 13 was under 18, and he only had to pay $1,100 a month, which I thought was wild.
I mean, but again, but you know, one from one extreme to another. You know, it's 16,000 is a lot, but then again, $1,000, 1,100 for 14, that ain't nothing. So
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. And
yeah,
he's worth, and the husband is worth like over $1 million. Yeah, I went and looked it up because I'm nosy. So yeah, like I'm just saying, like he's still making good money, and all they made him pay was $1,000 a month. I know regular men who paying $1,000 a month for two or three kids, if
I paying
even that.
14 for two at one
But
point.
yeah, and
So
I'm just
yeah,
like, these are regular people, and they got money. Well, anyway, let me get back on. So, and then in addition to that $16,650 a month, he was paying an additional $10,000 a month in alimony. So that is $26,000 every single month. Like,
don't forget
God,
the 650 too. You gotta add that. That count $26,650. Take me to the king. I'm gonna be honest with you. I ain't got much to bring.
a month?
My bank account is in shambles. I ain't got no offering.
So that came out to a total of $319 a year. My God. Maybe I should have been professional baby mama because sheesh.
Man, they would have paid you off with food. Like you've been the only person
Yeah,
with a
he'd have been like,
divorce
he'd be like, I just
settlement.
have the chef comes to the house every day. Okay, we can settle out of court for that. I'm cool with that.
Oh, she set up a steak dinner.
So Lorenzen, he actually moves back to Atlanta and into a condo, and he even got a roommate with his best friend Michael Gibson. So times really must have been hard, and he needed a roommate at the age of 34. But I mean, but shit, if you paying $26,000 a month, I mean, god damn,
Yeah, man. I don't know how he doing that. And
I don't even know how you.
they based it off the money that he was making, but the dude was retired. Like they didn't take
Yeah,
that in
like
consideration.
because what I'm not sure, but what do retire? I know some of them become like sportscasters or whatever, but like that's only a select
Not
few.
everybody. Like
Yeah, I'm saying
yeah,
that's a
very
select
few.
few. So
Yeah.
what do the rest of them do? Which
I guess pay
have.
from what it looks like, pay alimony and child support and end up getting unalived.
I mean, but I'm just saying, like, that's wild because that's just a lot of dang old money. Like, I mean, I guess you should have been making like really good investments. That's the only thing I can
I
think
mean,
of.
he would put in the NBA for 10 years, making $55,000, 55 million. That's 5 million a year minus taxes. I mean, no offense, that's not a lot of money. Like I know to us it is, but no, that's not. And you know they was living, no, what I'm saying he was living way beyond his means. You got 6 kids. I know you put them in a private school because of your celebrity status. Yeah, that money dried up so quick. You know what I'm saying? That's yeah.
I mean, like, that's like I say, if you got money like that, you got to have the right money manager in your corner to make sure. Because I'm like, if I make this type of money, I need to be living good for the rest of my life. But that's neither here nor there. So, life happens, like we said. But me personally, I'm not dating a man who got a roommate at that age. Yeah.
I understand what happened. I mean, it's just a financially beneficial for him to do that.
I
I don't
mean,
get that.
I
Don't
ain't
do that.
mad at him. But
Yeah.
at this age, I don't. You got a room now.
Like at this age, if a man got a roommate, he gay. So look, so while Lorenzen is in the A, Sherra is Sheree,
Sherra. I done said her name
Sherra.
8 times. Sherra.
It
It's
is
just
what
like
it
this.
is.
Sherra. Let's pronounce
Sherra.
Sherra. There we go.
Sherra. Is still living in Memphis with their 6 kids. I'm not sure. And I'm sure she was not too happy to have to downgrade her lifestyle. You gotta think about it, man. Ain't no more dropping somebody's salary in a Gucci store. She probably had to actually cook at home instead of having a chef do it for her. You know what I'm saying? So she got to probably break out them pots and pans. And I mean, yeah, she would get child support and alimony. Well, she was supposed to have been getting child support and alimony, but like we said, time was hard for Lorenzen. The dude didn't have no money. He didn't have that money to be given. You know what I'm saying? So he was behind on both. So that's to make a long story short, he wasn't paying alimony or child support, right? So what does a retired NBA player do to keep the income flowing in after retirement? That's the $1 million question, right? So it's July 18, and Lorenzen touched down to Memphis to see his kids and his sister's baby shower. Happens to be that weekend also. Now apparently, it looks like even though Sherra, see I said it right, Sherra, right? And Lorenzen had a divorce decree, but I guess he was still dropping off something at the house on occasion, right? So let's just think about it. If I'm not playing offense, I'm playing what?
D.
There you go. So Sherra was sending Lorenzen very explicit texts rated R for mature audience only. So he like, okay, cool, put the kids to sleep, and we can go ahead and do what we do. And now it's a little bit fuzzy according to court documents how the next few hours went down. All we can go by is what Sherra says. So Sherra says that Lorenzen had been into selling drugs. His money was tight. She said that Lorenzen wanted her to go with him to meet some dude, but she didn't have a sitter for the kids. According to Sherra, Lorenzen leaves the house with some drugs and some money with some dude, but she doesn't know who this man is that he is with. And we're talking about he is Lorenzen. And according to her, that was the last time that she had seen or heard from him. Now back to that 911 call. It's now a little after 12 a.m. on July 19, 2010. On the call, you can hear a man yelling. You hear people yelling. You hear a ton of gunshots go off. I'm talking about like pop, pop, tick, pop, 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 pop. Actually, if you listened to the recording earlier, you'll hear it. It was crazy, right? You also hear the 911 operator speaking and saying hello several times. So you would think that you be in a 911 dispatch, you hear gunshots, people yelling. You would dispatch police to where you can track down the call at. Correct? No, wouldn't you think that, Tiffany? I mean,
That's what I
is
would
that
do,
what
'cause
you
I
do?
believe that's in my job description.
All right. I just want to make sure that we are on the same page, right? No, this heifer, and I use heifer not lightly at all, did not. She just went on about the rest of her work shift like nothing happened. So she heard the gunshots, the yelling. She don't even call in. I mean, even let a manager know. She took her lunch. Probably.
She wasn't concerned. Like, she probably like, I mean, I don't even know what happened, but so a couple of days go by, and Deborah, Lorenzen's mom, realized she hasn't heard from her son in a couple of days, and that's not normal. So she's calling and she's getting no answer. She's not getting a call back. So Deborah actually hadn't laid eyes on Lorenzen since before July 4th. He had told her, he had plans to go to the baby shower, but he never made it to his sister's baby shower. So Deborah calls her oldest granddaughter, Lauren, and she's like, hey, you talk to your dad? And Lauren's like, no, I've called him, but like 5 or 6, he's not answering. She's like, okay, something's not right. So on July 22nd, 2010, Deborah calls into Memphis PD and she reports Lorenzen missing. She also calls Sherra, and like Sherra was not concerned at all. The only thing that she was concerned about was her check. She like, look, I ain't got my check and my checks. Where
That's
is
a lot
my
of money,
money?
though. I ain't $26,000. I'm gonna be worried about a check also. I mean,
Right, she probably like, I don't know where that man is. But when he show up, tell him he need to bring my money with him. That's all she was concerned about. And literally, the only thing that Sherra said to Deborah was, "quote The police better do their job." Ma'am, what? Like we said, she just did not give a damn. Like, she didn't even bother to report the man missing. Now I know that's your ex-husband, but dang, ma'am, he is still your children's father.
well, I mean, that is, man. Yeah, I know a couple of my baby mamas, they're probably like, yeah, anyway, so, like I was telling you, Dante told me, like, so this, yeah, it's a given. So anyway, so Lorenzo family, they are doing everything they can to find him because this is just not like him to up and disappear. And his own kids haven't heard from him. They say he was a good daddy too. They was very active in his kids' life. You know what I'm saying? So if you just go from, reaching out to your kids, talking to your kids, and all of a sudden they can't hear from you, it's very suspect. So days are just going by, and everyone is just, everyone is just, getting more and more worried. They stressing out. They worried. They feel like, man, hold on, something ain't right. So remember that 911 dispatcher, the one who ain't do her job, right? Who got the call and never said anything? Well, I'm sure she lost her job.
You about to lose your job. You about to lose your job.
So while the Memphis PD was working, right? You know what I'm saying? On Lorenzen's missing person case, they come across that 911 call. because it came from Lorenzen's phone. You know how pissed off I would be as a mother, as a father, as a brother, and if I went that way, a sister, to find out that my brother's son actually called in and you hung up without even tracing the call. That should be I think that should be a crime. Like, they should be charged for that.
I absolutely agree. You didn't
Yeah, I
do
think
like,
they
ma'am,
should be
your
charged for
whole.
that.
You know what? There was actually a lady. I just saw an article not too long ago where she was just like hanging up on people who called 911 because she didn't feel like dealing with it.
That's
I
horrible.
believe she got arrested, if I'm not mistaken. I know she lost her job for sure, but I'm not 100% sure. But she may have gotten arrested. But yeah, I'm like, ma'am, that's your job. This is what you're supposed to do.
Yeah, I don't understand that. And they traced the call to Wooded area adjacent to Fieldstone Apartments located off Hacks Cross Road in Winchester Road in Memphis, Tennessee. And unfortunately, they found the old boy's body, and they say it was barely decomposed. When he was found, his body had been there for almost 10 days. Now, you got to think about that. 10 days. This is a black man, melanin in his skin, in Memphis, and it's hot. Hotter than firecrackers out there. So, yeah, his body was, they say almost skeleton. So, according to a coroner's report, there were bullet fragments found in his arm, chest, and head. He was shot a total of 11 times. The fatal shots were between the 2 that Lorenzen took in the head and 2 to the chest. At the scene, they found jewelry still on the body, so it doesn't look like it was a robbery, and shell casings near the body. There was a lot of trash around the area, and they weren't sure if it was connected to the crime scene or not. So, of course, Lorenzen family, they are devastated. He was only 34. That's young. 34 at the time, right? So of course they laid on the rest privately, but the family held a memorial service at the FedEx Forum in Memphis on August 4th, 2010, right? So the city had truly lost a legend. They mourned it, right? They said at the service, they say Sherra was cutting up. They say all they could think about remember that movie, Kingdom Come? They say she
That's
was
my
like Jada
favorite
Pinkett.
movie.
Where she fell out doing the viewing and throws herself in the casket, and Loretta Devine was like, "Paranoid, no mind. She just likes the attention." And Whoopi Goldberg just sitting there looking annoyed, right? That was her. Now Cher was grieving, but only until she received that $1 million life insurance check. Remember, she made him get it, and once that billboard cleared, know what I'm saying? It was less lower why and more, where's my Louis bag? Y'all do know this woman blew through almost $1 million in a matter of months. Y'all know she wasn't punching nobody's time clock, so it's money going out. Ain't nothing coming in. Remember, at this time he's dead, so ain't no more child support or no more alimony. So all she doing is living off that check, right? And she's trying to keep up with the Joneses, right? And we know that you'll go broke doing that. So in actuality, it was only $973,000. And I'm sure y'all would like to know what she was spending money on, right? Guess what? We got it. We got it, y'all. And how she is spending it, we got it. You would like to hear it? Here you go. Sherra spent $11,750 on a trip to NYC.
What
She
the
spent
hell? What the hell going on in NYC for that much money? What are we doing?
You know, they expensive, man. That probably was about 2 taxi rides. That was a pizza, and a stay at the W Hotel.
Well, she don't know how to go to New York then, because I ain't spent nowhere. You can go to New York for cheap if you know what you're doing.
But you can't be sleeping on the trains, Tiffany.
First of all, I stay in Jersey and I hop the train right over because it only costs a couple dollars to get from Jersey to New York City. Okay, don't sleep on no damn trains. You so aggravated.
Okay, my bad. I know, my bad. I thought that's what you were doing. Anyway, so remember, trip to NYC, she spent $69,000 on furniture. She spent $7,100 on a deposit for a pool. I know you like
deposit.
A deposit on a pool.
So how much was the pool gonna actually cost?
That's a good question. If you putting that much down on a pool,
because for
I know.
$7,100, that pool better be a finished pool. I want a waterfall in it, surrounded by for $7,100. I need to be right.
Yeah, and I feel you. And just like Johnny Cochran said to OJ when he said I did not do it, I know you lying. Right? Because she spent $32,000 on the Cadillac Escalade. Now, that's the only thing I justify. Because I ain't going to lie, man. I'm a black man. I'm going to get me an SUV, and an expensive one, too. I'm going to look good when I'm driving. All the other stuff, no. But check this out. She spent $339,000 to buy and improve a new house. right?
I
She
mean,
spent
well,
five.
real estate is always an investment.
Okay, I respect that. $5,000 for lawn equipment. I
Mm-mm.
mean, granted, if it's a big yard and you spend $3,200 on a riding lawnmower, so I'm not justifying. I'm just saying, okay.
She wasn't cutting that grass. She hired somebody to cut that grass.
I mean, we don't. She got kids though, right? So we don't know
And
that.
and first of all, our kids will be our kids talking about some. Can I get an Uber because I'm not taking the bus? So our bougie kids ain't gonna take the bus. So her kids is rich and they grew up in a life of luxury. They ain't about to get out there and cut no
True
grass.
story, man. Yeah, true story. I spent tons of money on my son AAU. I'm talking about to the point where I was looking at my bank account and I started a teardrop down my eye because I was like, it's a possibility that I might not be able to pay my mortgage. But I love my son. And it just so happens that my grass needed to be cut, right? Do you think he did? No. Why did this young man come with a lawnmower, say, hey, I cut your grass for $20 and I had to pay him? At the time, I wasn't thinking like, what did I just do? But I did it. I say that to say these kids are soft nowadays, and it's our fault. We created.
Excuse me, I have two boys,
Yeah,
19 and 15, and who do you think cut my grass? I'm over here on Facebook talking about help. I need somebody to come cut my grass. These kids are soft as I don't know what.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. I don't understand. See, and do you know who fault it is? Know what I'm
Ours.
saying? Huh?
Ours.
You said ours.
Yes,
No.
ours. Our
Oh.
fault.
No, it ain't our fault, man. It's
Yes.
Trump's fault, man. Start deporting all these immigrants and nobody ain't doing the
First of all, we
landscaping
ain't
no
got no
more.
Mexicans in Cleveland, and the ones we got, they at the Mexican spot. That's where I need them at. So
I'm just saying that's
that
his
didn't
fault,
affect
man. He
me.
got rid of them now. Now we forced to cut our own grass. It just ain't right, man. But anyway, let's get back to the money that she was spending.
Sweet
She spent
Jesus.
$180,000 in property expenses. I don't know what that is, but that's a lot of money. She spent $2,273 on spring outfits for the girls. So the girl
I
was
mean,
looking
that's
good.
not that much. I mean,
I
kids stuff
guess
is
so. I
expensive.
mean, she could hit Sheen up. She could spend about 200 and got everything she wanted.
I mean, that's true.
Now, granted, if you sneeze the wrong way, it's a possibility the skirt gonna split. But
First
I
of
mean,
all,
that's just
you already know when they come to vacation, baby. Me and Sheen, I have new swimsuits every vacation because I go on Sheen to spend
don't no
$2.
no. You say every vacate because they don't last it to the very next one.
No, I got a whole drawer full of swimsuits. I just do it because they cheap and they're actually very good quality. My daughter was pissed at me and she was like, "Why do you have to buy swimsuits every time we go on vacation? You have a whole drawer because they're cheap. Why wouldn't I?" And they're actually very good quality. So don't come for Shein, okay?
She thirst trapping y'all. Feel me? Anyway, she said she spent $2,000 on a birthday party and gift for Lorenzen Jr. Y'all, you know how much that was altogether? That was 6,400. I
See,
mean,
you can't even count.
$648,000. I mean, I'm astonished and I'm shocked by the amount of money that she spent. So
In
forgive me.
such a
You know what I'm
short
saying?
amount of time. That's what's so
Yes,
crazy.
yes. So at this point, Lorenzen's dad, Herbert, was like, okay, now hold up, wait a minute. And he filed paperwork with the courts to get legal control over his grandkids' inheritance before she blew through all of that. This turned into an entire legal battle in itself, and we will pick up on that a little bit later. So, of course, now this is officially a murder investigation. And it's also a high profile case. The Memphis PD has to be on their P's and Q's. Quick question: what is P's and Q's?
Um,
Don't try to
I don't
look. Don't you trying to
okay,
hurry up and type in
I don't
your
even know.
phone.
Like I'm just sitting here thinking, I don't know. I'm drinking. I don't know.
Oh,
I'm like
and
potatoes, and I was trying to find something for the Q, but it wasn't clicking fast enough.
okay, I don't know what it stands for, right? And this needs to be solved now. And they talk about now, like right now. They spoke with Sherra. Of course, she really gave off vibes of fake concern. The only thing she was concerned about was getting her hands on that check. She told Memphis detectives that, Lorenzo was having a lot of money issues and he started to get involved with drugs to, make ends meet or whatever. And I think he got caught up with the wrong people. He may have even gotten involved with the Mexican cartel.
The
Why we always blame yourself
cartel.
on the Mexicans, man? We do. We gotta stop that, man. The Mexicans get blamed for everything, man. They taking black people, they taking black jobs. You know what I'm saying? They raping and pillaging. They just doing everything. Shout out to the Mexicans, man. So anyway, Sierra's story wasn't really solid, but they go and look into Lorenzen's background. Nothing suspicious there. So they go back to Lorenzen's mom, like, hey, do you know of anyone who may have had beef with or if he was like into anything dangerous? Deborah was like, absolutely not. My boy is a good young man, outstanding. You know what I'm saying? A stellar in the community. So they are trying and they keep coming up empty. No murder weapon had turned up, no witness, no lead. So August 1st, 2010, they did search Sherra's home. They did find a fire pit that had been lit on the night before the day of Lorenzen's murder, July 19th. But that can or cannot be solid evidence, right? There were also a witness that said they saw Sherra and a man near the burning fire pit, which they thought was odd since it was dead smack in the middle of the summer and one of the hottest days of the year, right? Nothing suspicious about that, right? No, not at all. But again, this isn't solid evidence. In the fire pit, they found a torn piece of paper that had the word attorney and another piece of paper that had Lorenzen's name. And eventually the case goes cold. Sherra stayed as a person of interest in the case, but nothing more. Now, this whole time, Deborah, Lorenzen's mom, she is speaking out. She does interviews and she just wants justice for her son, but nobody knows anything.
So now while time is going on, Sherra, she over there with these 6 kids, no money coming in. I really couldn't find out anywhere it said if she was working or started a business. Now I did find where she purchased some property, so maybe she was collecting rent, but it couldn't have been enough to keep her lifestyle going the way that she wanted. Like sis is stressed, like all caps. I mean, she was so stressed, her neighbors recall her walking on the sidewalk, like on the phone screaming she needed some money. Friends calling like, girl, what's up? You good? She like, no. I need some money. They like, all right, baby, it's called a job.
I want you to get your ass up today, go out and look for a job. The word today is job. J-O-B. You hear me? Yeah. Go look for a job today.
Now, I know a job wouldn't keep her in the lifestyle she was living, but sometimes you got to downgrade just to make it through. So like we said, the case is cold at this point. They got nothing. So in 2012, Memphis PD, they get a call from none other than the Memphis jailhouse, an inmate. So his name is Jimmy Martin. Now,
never trust a man with 2 first names.
Now, Jimmy Martin, he's Sherra's first cousin on her mama's side. So their moms were sisters. And Jimmy, well, let's just say that Jimmy was sitting in prison on his own murder charge for killing his girlfriend. Spoiler alert, you will be getting 2 episodes this week. So anyway, so there's Jimmy. He's sitting in his cell, probably staring at the wall like it owed him some money. And suddenly he thought, what make this orange jumpsuit feel a little bit lighter? Snitching. And just like that, Memphis PD had a new best friend.
Let me tell you, man, I'm with that brother because look, I'm down for it. I'm snitching. Told you that's my middle name. Willie Snitch. I ain't gonna say the last. They don't need to know my last name. Now we won't really get into
somebody already disclosed your last name being messy.
They did?
Mm-hmm.
When?
On a episode last week.
Oh, snap. Oh, yeah. Shout out. Now, we won't really get into Jimmy's background on this episode because we ain't have a lot to say, and you would not believe it, really. Now, while some folks do time in silence, Jimmy Martin, my man, he decided to do time with a soundtrack, and that soundtrack was called Let Me Tell You What Really Happened, Volume 1. Chopped and screwed. And just like that, what had been a cold case for 7 years started heating up faster than commissary noodles in a microwave, or faster than a streetwalker in Las Vegas. Hot. The detectives are all ears because real talk, they got nothing. And at this point, it looks bad that all this time has passed and they haven't been able to catch the hometown hero's murderer or murderers, right? Jimmy said, hey, look, I know where one of the guns is that killed Lorenzen Wright. Memphis detectives go ahead and make their way down to the jail so they can see what information they can get out of Jimmy boy. Jimmy, like, look, me and old dude, we threw the gun in the lake in Walnut, Mississippi. Now remember, they know they are dealing with an inmate. We all know inmate was snitch faster than a microwave burrito explodes. Right? And I'm with them. So they go ahead and they get some volunteer divers to search the lake, but it had just rained and the water were really murky and they couldn't see. So they didn't find anything that day. It sounds like Memphis police officer does have an issue with individuals that don't want to do their job. Just want to throw that out there. Shout out to Memphis Police Department and the lack of. Yeah, please do.
So in the in between time, life, of course, is going on. Sherra, she gets remarried. I mean, after that, she found another sucker. I mean, she found a loving husband
Mm.
after such a devastating loss. She got married to Reginald A. Robinson Sr. He was a Shelby County Sheriff's deputy in March of 2014. So then Sherra wrote and released her very first book, December 14th, 2014, titled Tell Me Anything. And y'all know I'm a certified book junkie, right? So I read a description because I was like, maybe I should check out this book because they were saying it was like loosely based on the situation with Lorenzen. Man, when I say them reviews were like,
Trash.
no, thank you. I wasn't about to even waste my money. And baby, it was not on Kindle Unlimited. So she was not about to get my coins out of me. I was not putting money on her books. Oh, shoot.
Mm.
Well, anyway, so she did dedicate this book to her new husband. And like I said, it was based on their relationship or whatever. So also in 2014, she came into an undisclosed settlement with Lorenzen's dad about Lorenzen's estate back in 2010. Because remember, Lorenzen's daddy stepped in because she was spending all their dang on money. Right.
Yep.
Now, apparently, this marriage couldn't have lasted too long because next thing you know, it's 2015. Sherra meets a journalist. His name was Kelvin Cowens. And they were supposed to be meeting up because he was interviewing her to talk about her book and how she felt about Lorenzen's murder still being unsolved after all these years. So Kelvin, he was working for the New Tri-State Defender newspaper, and he said, quote, the first time I ever crossed journalistic lines, it was for Sherra. There was apparently a written rule that journalists are forbidden from having relationships with their subjects.
He crossed that line. We aren't sure if Sherra divorced the good deputy or if she did what a lot of black folks do and just leave and never legally divorce, right? But the two hit it off and got hot and heavy real quick.
So wait,
Sherra
let me
picked up.
ask you something. Is that a
What's up?
black thing? Do like white people do that too?
Do what?
Like leave but never get legally divorced?
No, they just kill they just kill
Oh.
them. Yeah, they just kill them. But the two hit it off quick, like I said, real quick. So Sherry ended up picked up her kids and moved to Houston with Calvin. And they started a life, right? Calvin would later say that he could still see that Sherry was grieving woman. She was still hurt, right? She would commonly ask him to listen to the 911 call with her and ask him, what do you think? What do you hear? And then we'll follow up with, do you ever think they will find out who killed him? Like, girl, I'm trying to, you know what I'm saying? I'm trying to do something. You trying to talk about 911 call. He also said that Sherry was obsessed with Lorenzen's dad having control over the money because she felt she was entitled to the money along with her children. She is entitled to the money, but the children is also too, right? There also was a
Well, no,
payout
she's not
of
entitled to anything, baby. Y'all was divorced. Them kids was entitled to the money.
no, but I mean, if she was the beneficiary on there, then
The
yes.
thing was, she was recklessly spending, and that's why his daddy
No, no,
stepped
no, no. I
in.
get look, calm down, little light skin. I agree with you. I'm saying yes, she was entitled to some, but the way she was spending it, I understand why he stepped in because the kids are entitled to some too. So you can't just spend all of it on you. The kids are entitled to just as much of it as you are. That's all I was saying. So there was also a payout, I believe, of $150,000 that was part of Lorenzen's pension from the NBA. She even showed him photos and life insurance policy. Again, this relationship then lasts.
So hold on.
Well, yeah, she
I get
just.
you're a grieving widow, but that would turn me off if you have me continuously listening and listening to a 911 call about your dead ex. That is a huge red flag. I'd be scared. I'd
Like,
be
man, I
like, you
was
know
trying to
what?
Netflix and chill tonight, man. Come on, dog.
Like, that's a lot. Like to sit there and continuously play the 911 call again. And I get people grieve differently. I understand, but baby, maybe you shouldn't be dating if that's the case. Cause that's like a red flag to me. Like that's very, very odd.
No, I agree with you. Yeah, I definitely agree with you. You know what I'm saying? Um, so again, the relationship did not last, and they end up breaking up like 2017. Cher was off to find another sponsor, and while she was just living her life without caring the world,
So for 7 years, now we know the number 7 is the number of completion. Year 7, the Memphis PD cold case unit reopens the case and they re-examine all of the evidence that they had. So it wasn't much to work with, but like we said, 7 is a divine number and some grace was extended to Memphis PD. So sometimes fresh eyes can catch something that was missed before. Like we said back in 2012, Jimmy Martin told detectives that he knew where the gun was, but remember they went to look and it had rained and they couldn't see anything in the water. Now, why they didn't go back, try again, as Leah said, maybe it was a clearer day. I don't know. But Investigator Browning, he decided to reach out to the FBI. So the FBI goes ahead, they got a team together, and they search this lake again. And bam, Investigator Brown said he will never forget when a diver yelled out, "We found it." So the inmate was telling the truth after all. So 7 years, and they have at least one of the murder weapons.
Good. Now it's time for the investigation to start backtracking. Sherra was always a person of interest. They decided to start with her right there. They got a subpoena for her phone records and social media records. They do some cross referencing. They already know about the rated R text messages that she and Lorenzen were sharing. But they came across a contact by the name of Etna J. This turned out to be Jimmy Martin. They went back to June 2010 and found from June to September there were Facebook messages between Jimmy and Cher discussing getting a party together, which they believe was a code for killing Lorenzen. They go back and get some more information about Jimmy since they know he's actually telling the truth. Jimmy was in that cell pacing like he was on a runway. And the moment he heard the word deal, he turned into a full-blown storyteller. Memphis PD didn't even have to ask twice. He was already drawing maps and giving GPS coordinates. I wonder if they even like, man, you got to give me some food, man. Like, yo, give me a wing dinner. Y'all know me, man. Give me a wing dinner with some fries. Put the sauce on the side for me, and I'll give you everything you need to know. That man says fast, they say. You think he had a loyalty card with the law enforcement? He agreed to testify against Sherra in the chain for immunity in the Lorenzen case. I mean, I guess he figured he was already down for one case. He did not need nothing else added to it.
So Jimmy, he started throwing out names, a pregnant woman, he ain't know all that. They like, what pregnant woman? What man? Hold on. So he's like, all right, y'all need y'all to pull up a seat, get some coffee, because we're going to be here for a minute. And so Jimmy says that in May of 2010, he was living in Batesville, Mississippi. And like we said before, Cher's his first cousin on his mama's side. So she came down to visit him and said Lorenzen needed somebody to take care of his Rottweilers. He said he didn't think anything of it because Lorenzen himself had hit him up before saying he wanted his Rottweilers trained. He's like, okay, cool. So Jimmy, he makes his way up to Memphis, which is about 85 miles from Batesville. Let me tell y'all something. First of all, this man was on bail while he's doing all this. Spoiler alert.
What?
So just keep that in mind. So he said when he got to Memphis, Cher switches up the whole story and told Jimmy that she wanted to kill Lorenzen. So he brushed it off like she just talking. She ain't about nothing. So he already was, like I said, out on bond on a murder charge. So Cher recommended a lawyer for him and offered to pay some of his legal fees. Now, you know you're going to need a good attorney when you fighting a murder charge because they don't come cheap.
They don't.
So when he gets there, Cher has a whole meeting set up so she could get this done. So Jimmy said at the meeting there was a pregnant lady, but he didn't know her name, and there was another man, Billy Ray Turner, and they were discussing where to catch Lorenzen. She specifically said she wanted it somewhere where there weren't a lot of people around.
Oh, okay. So Billy Ray Turner was born on February 23rd, 1971 in Texas. We don't have too many details on him or his early life. Now, we do know that he had a rather extensive criminal record starting in 1992. Reckless endanger with a deadly weapon, attempted aggravated assault, attempted kidnapping, a cocaine charge, and burglary. He was married to a woman named Johanna Carver turned 1993 in Texas. It looks like he moved around quite a bit. Texas, Virginia, Tennessee, and no, he was not a military man, not at all. From what we can tell, at one point he was trying to be a rapper, right? I mean, he got the credits in a rap sheet of it. Why not?
All I can think of, remember that episode of Chappelle's Show where he was like, I could have been a rapper, but I would have had to have a hook.
Yeah, that was hilarious. Then he was working in landscaping, and at some point during the time of all this craziness, he was a deacon at the Mount Oliver Baptist Church, which is crazy work. But you know, hey, look, I mean, people can change their life, so I ain't knocking it. Shout out to the church. The pregnant woman with Claudia Robertson, she was also Cher's cousin. Must have been on the daddy side because Jimmy didn't know who she was. She was like Cher's unofficial nanny. She was unofficial because according to her, she would babysit the kids for at least 5 days a week, but she did not get paid, right? They interviewed Claudia.
Hey, I got bills too.
Exactly. They interviewed Claudia and she did agree to cooperate and change for immunity because she was caught up in some other stuff. According to Claudia, the first time she heard about the murder plot was around May 2010. She was at the house with Sherra and the kids, and she said that Sherra told her that Lorenzen put out a hit on her. Claudia blew it off, like, whatever, and pretty much dismissed her. The second time the conversation came up, Claudia said that Sherra, Billy Ray, and an unknown man, who we do know now is Jimmy, she never spoke to Jimmy. And again, Cher insisted that Lorenzen had a hit out on her and they had to take him out first, right? So she trying to set up everything. Claudia said she didn't say anything when Cher said this, and neither did Billy Ray. Claudia said after the situation, she started distancing herself from the situation. She heard about Lorenzen's murder on the news along with everyone else. And when Claudia was asked why didn't she come forward, she said she was scared for her life. I mean, she like, look, if old girl could plot to kill her ex-hub and the father of her children, look, I'm a goner, basically.
So we're going to backtrack just a little bit back to talking about what Jimmy was saying. So Jimmy said that in May of 2010, Sherra had come down to Batesville again. And this is where we said the meeting where Claudia said she was going to distance herself afterwards. So in this meeting, it was discussed that they would kill Lorenzen. They planned to use 2 or 3 guns. So one of the potential locations was set up in Atlanta, and it was going to be Jimmy that killed Lorenzen. So according to Jimmy, he was like really too scared to tell Sherra no because he didn't want to get killed. So apparently she must be bigger in life because everybody's scared of her. So after the meeting, Sherra gave Jimmy her car and he drove back to Batesville. Now, while he was driving, Sherra called him and told him to look inside the trunk. And in the trunk was a 25 and a 38 Magnum. It was some weed, and he said around $300 or $500. But Jimmy then said he sold the 38. So then in June 2010, Sherra calls Jimmy and told him that he needed to go to Atlanta and catch Lorenzen in, quote, a compromising position. Now, Jimmy said he told Sherra okay, but he never actually went to Atlanta. Now, from Batesville to Atlanta is about a 5-hour drive. So he told Sherra that he went, but he couldn't find Lorenzen. So I don't know if Sherra didn't believe him or what, but she went ahead and made her way to Atlanta herself and went to Lorenzen's house. And it would come out later that when Sherra showed up, Lorenzen actually wasn't home, but his roommate Kelvin was. And Kelvin had said it was like kind of weird for Sherra just to show up out the blue, but he let her inside, but she didn't stay long. So while Sherra was there, she left the window open. She called Jimmy like, hey, I left this window open for you. So then Billy Ray and Jimmy, they go ahead and make this 5-hour drive to Atlanta. They both climbed through the window that Sherra had left open from them. And when they got inside, they found the man on the couch sleeping, but from the height, they knew it wasn't Lorenzen. He was too short. So they left back out of that same window and drove back to Memphis, which was another 5.5-hour drive. This is just so much. Goodness.
Yeah, exactly.
So now in late June, early July of 2010, Jimmy and Sherra started exchanging those Facebook messages that the investigators had found referring to the party. And Jimmy went ahead and confirmed what the investigators thought, that they were absolutely speaking in code about killing Lorenzen.
Speaking in code, we about to have a party. Okay, we killing somebody. On July 18, 2010, the day before Lorenzen went missing, Sherra called Jimmy and asked him to come back to Memphis. It's looking like Jimmy didn't have a care because he was always catching a ride with somebody, right? So he's like, oh, it is what it is. Now, Jimmy said he called Billy Ray to come and get him so he can go ahead and get the murder over with. He said he called Billy Ray several times from his cell phone and the payphone, and Billy Ray never answered, right? Let me just be honest with you. I don't trust nobody by the name of Billy Ray. It just don't seem right. That's just my personal opinion. A few days go by and Jimmy said he gets another call from Sherra, and this time she said she and Billy Ray were on their way to him in Batesville. Jimmy said that when they got there, they were both acting a bit off. But Jimmy claimed he didn't know that Lorenzen was already dead at this point. Sherry then asked if Jimmy mama, her auntie, had a metal detector. Now, that's kind of odd, though. I ain't trying to be funny. Who just walks around with a metal detector?
I mean, she probably had it in her house. I mean, it was probably in the garage or something.
Yeah, no, a metal detector, like, all right, man, I'm just saying that's a kind of odd thing to do. That's like, yeah, anybody got a flex capacitor around here I can borrow? Just odd. So Auntie let Sherry borrow the metal detector, and then they go back to Memphis. Jimmy said he hopped in the car, and Sherry tells him that Lorenzen is dead and she needed a metal detector to find one of the guns that they lost. When they get back to Memphis, they all go to the field where they left Lorenzen's body, and Billy Ray pulls out some wire cutters. Sherry said that Lorenzen had jumped the fence during the attack, and she was going to cut the fence because she didn't want to leave anything. She must have been up on her Black True Crimes because, I mean, geez. I mean, I ain't gonna lie, she trying to cross her T's, dot her I's, and
She doing all that. Like,
all of it.
girl, you give me a headache.
Yeah, so Billy Ray and Jimmy headed to a dump where they left the cut wire and the wire cutters. They then drove around for a while before stopping at a lake and throwing a gun in the lake. Sherry also told Jimmy that Sherry told Jimmy that the night Sherra, yeah, man, look, man, at this point in time, y'all know who I'm talking about. Follow along, y'all. Anyway, Sherra told Jimmy that night they murdered Lorenzen. Lorenzen had went to meet somebody for some money, and when they got to the field, Billy Ray was there, and they ambushed Lorenzen, who ran and jumped the barbed wire. They chased him down, firing at him, and when he fell, they caught up to him and shot him. A few days after they dumped the first gun, Sherra said she found the other gun they had lost.
This chick, she doing too much. Now, mind you, it's 2017 and Jimmy is still in prison. So this man said he felt safer in prison than out messing with Sherra. Like, what? I want to know. Like, she don't even look like intimidating like that. I mean, she gained some weight, but she don't look like crazy or nothing. I mean, she looked normal. But anyway, the Memphis PD and the FBI put together a task force they call Operation Rebound to finally go ahead and get this case solved. Now, after the gun was recovered from the bottom of the lake, they wanted to make Sherra squirm and see if they could get her to tell on herself. They fed the story to the news stations. They also put a tap on Sherra and Billy Ray's phones, and then they waited. And not long after the story airs, Sherra makes a call to Billy Ray. She didn't say nothing crazy, but she did make a mention that she would be on the first flight. And on the call, they noted that she sounded pretty distressed. And by this time, she's living in Riverside, California. And Sherra, she wasted no time. She's in Memphis quick, fast, and in a hurry. And guess who was waiting on her when she arrived? Now, they didn't make their presence known, but they were watching her, the Memphis PD. So first person that Sherra meets up with is Billy Ray. So they got surveillance on them both, and Billy Ray and Sherra, they took a walk and they talked. Now the talk didn't look to be going so well, but they unfortunately couldn't hear what was being said. And in the background, they are following up on leads from 7 years ago. They checked into Billy's financial records, so they didn't find any large deposits after the murder, but they did notice that the phone records between July 5th and August 5th of 2010, there were 186 calls between Billy Ray and Sherra. And then during that same time, Billy Ray spoke with Jimmy Martin 17 times. And there was also a phone call on July 19, 2010 at 6 a.m. from Billy Ray to Lorenzen Wright Jr.'s phone that lasted for a minute and 29 seconds, which they really think that he called the son's phone and told her and actually spoke to Sherra on the son's phone. So, furthermore, in checking phone records, Billy Ray's phone at 12:12 a.m. on July 19 hit a tower in the middle of the Windike Country Club, which is the same area where Lorenzen's body was found. And that was the same tower that Lorenzen's phone binged on when he called 911. So now they letting Sherra make her rounds. They letting her dig a hole, giving her enough rope to hang herself. And then they let her get back on a flight back to California. Now, they did arrest Billy Ray Turner on December 5th of 2017. And they said when Sherra got the news, sis was shooketh. Like, she was scared.
Yeah, Detective Fasado Frias, who was a part Operation Rebound, was the one to interview Billy Ray after his arrest. Billy Ray, like a fool, waived his Miranda rights and, of course, denies any involvement in the murder. In his interview, Billy said that he had no personal or professional relationship with Jimmy Martin and that he only knew Sherra because he was her yard man. They asked him, where was he the night Lorenzo was murdered? He said that he really wasn't sure, right? He said he didn't remember. He may have been with his sister. So they were like, well, that's odd because your car was seen in front of Sherra's house the morning after the murder. His dumb butt just put his head down and then answered. So they was like, are you sure you and Sherra just had a personal relationship? Because that ain't what we heard. He was like, Okay, I guess. I mean, we banked out a couple times. They pulled out a picture of the gun found at the bottom of the lake. They said that man looked like he had seen a ghost, and they could actually see his heart beating through his shirt. Right? They see he had a thin white beater on. He get to stutter like, "What? I mean, I own a 38 revolver and a shotgun, but I mean, if that gun in the picture, I mean, I don't know if I handle that." And he said, you know what? Sherra had a 38,
All
but
right, Stuttering Stanley.
that's how he was exactly, right? And so about she had a 38, but you know what? I just remember that was stolen in the car before the dude got murdered, right? So they looking at him like, brother. Then they asked him when was the last time he spoke to her, right? He said, well, I ain't seen her since a few weeks before the murder when she randomly showed up at the church. Oh, really? And they slapped down screenshots of messages between him and Sarah, pics, and witness statements showing otherwise. And right after that, guess who had a $1 million bail set? Good old Billy Ray. Yep. And he has had to sit there into trial because Billy Ray didn't have no money. He didn't have that money. Nah.
So Sherra was arrested on December 15th of 17 in Riverside, California. So when she was arrested, Memphis PD called Deborah Lorenzen's mom and her family came down to the station. They gave them the news and Deborah said, quote, thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Jesus. They got her. They need to bury her. So when the detectives were able to search her computer, Sherra was Googling how long do prints stay on a gun? Can prints stay on a gun underwater? She was Googling the Memphis criminal judge. She was Googling Billy Turner's indictments, amongst some other things. Computers get y'all caught up every time. Whoop. So Sherra was extradited back to Memphis on January 20th, 2018, and her bail was set at $15 million. Now, y'all know she ain't had that. How she blow through money. She ain't had that.
They did a GoFundMe and we were selling fish dinners, and they raised $17.
That mess. Nope.
Yeah, $17.
So she had to sit back and wait for trial. So while she's waiting for trial, they said in May of 2018, she stripped naked, used her clothes to stuff her toilet to flood her cell, and said she was going swimming, y'all. So, of course, this raised the need for a competency hearing. She was found competent to stand trial, and at the time, the only medication she was taking was Lexapro for anxiety and depression, and she was taking some allergy medication. So it wasn't nothing wrong with the bitch. Now, Sherra was supposed to go to trial, but in a random surprise move, July of 2019, she decided to take a plea deal. Like, the judge legit cleared his whole schedule to make room for Sherra. Now, could you imagine, like, you sitting there, like, thinking you about to go to trial today because you might get off, and the judge done rescheduled everything, and you can't even get your stuff in, or this might be your bail hearing, and you might be going home today, and you can't even get it because this chick decided she was just going to show up today. Yeah.
That's to be more careful.
So Sherra goes ahead and pleads guilty to facilitation of first-degree murder, and they gave her a sentence of 30 years. Now, she would be eligible for parole after serving 30% of her time. And they did give her a credit of 552 days served, and she could also earn credit for good behavior in participating in prison programs. And at the sentencing, Deborah spoke to Sherra and said, quote, Miss Sherra, I just want to thank you for giving my grandchildren. We love them and we just want to see them. But I want you to call and let them know that it's okay to talk to grandma. I just hate to see what happened to my child. Now, apparently, the Lorenzen's family hadn't seen the kids after his death, and Sherra was advised by her attorneys not to respond. And by this time, 4 of the 6 children were adults and could reach out if they wanted to, so maybe they didn't want to.
Yeah, that's sad, man. Well, I can only imagine that. Billy Ray went to trial March 14, 2022. The prosecution had their star witness, Jimmy Martin, on the stand. See, that's wrong. The whole case is messed up. Why? Because you got 2 individuals with 2 first names. You got Billy, then you got Ray, then you got Jimmy, you got Martin. So you already know this ain't about to be no good. On the stand, like I said, he spilled all the tea and the liquor for the homies. That dude was telling it all. Told where his mama live at, where his mama worked at, what type of car his mama drove, what type of gas his mama put in the vehicle, what type of tire was on the vehicle. He was telling everything. He was snitching on everything and everybody. Claudia Robertson also testified on behalf of the prosecution. Sherra didn't testify at all in Billy's trial. The trial lasted a week, and the jury only took 2 hours to deliberate and come back. And why did it only take 2 hours, Tiffany? Can you please tell me why?
They probably ordered some Chick-fil-A and they had to wait a little bit. You know, Chick-fil-A be real busy at lunchtime.
Or they're trying to get some of that brisket from, Memphis got some good brisket, so they probably was waiting. You know what I'm saying? But because the decision was already made before the case was even over with, right?
They
So
just
they
want that free
say
lunch.
exactly, and guess what? They came back with a guilty verdict for Billy Ray. He was convicted of first-degree murder, or as you got to say on the social media, unaliving. He was sentenced to life in prison plus 25 for a Class A felony conviction for attempted murder and 16 years for possession of a firearm by a convicted felon, for a total of life in prison plus 41 years. So he got to die, come back and do 41 years.
Mm.
Sad situation, right? So I guess when she got in there, we are talking about old girl, the conditions weren't just not to her liking. She used to live in a fancy life. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? She had basketball white player money. You know what I'm saying? So Sherra filed a petition for post-conviction relief. Yeah, I guess she thought about it because she didn't actually go through with the petition for some reason, and she withdrew it. But she was up for parole in May of 2022. She did acknowledge her part in setting up Lorenzen to be killed, right? Now, she did deny sending Billy Ray and Jimmy to Lorenzen's house in Atlanta. She also alleged physical abuse and that Lorenzen was dealing drugs. And that was why he filed for divorce, right? Well, actually, he or she filed for divorce. Now, she never mentioned any abuse when she was initially questioned or even in the case until now. She said that her oldest son, Lorenzen Jr., was being threatened at school and that Jimmy and Billy Ray were involved in drugs and it was a power play. The parole board also noted how she went through such lengths to clean up the crime, saying, we talk about she got metal detectors and cutting barbed wire. So I wonder, what did they tell her? What did they tell her? Did they give her parole?
So Sherra says, quote, I understand what you have in front of you. I took the plea deal because it was in my best interest. I was very depressed about that. And I feel like I was responsible for Lorenzen's death in a lot of ways. And then Lorenzen Jr. spoke on his mom's behalf and backed her story of being threatened at school. And her other son, Lamar, he wrote a letter saying that Sherra was a victim of domestic violence. Now, the parole board denied her parole, but she is eligible again in May of 2027. And she is serving her time at the Deborah K. Johnson Rehabilitation Center in Nashville, Tennessee.
Billy Ray Turner did file an appeal almost immediately after the conviction, claiming that the trial court improperly prevented the defendant from impeaching a witness when it excluded a conversation between the victim and victim's wife. Court improperly allowed the state to ask a witness leading questions. Error due to allowing a speaking objection by the state. The Shelby County Court was not the right venue for the attempted murder case, and the evidence was insufficient to sustain the convictions. The court said, no, thank you, sir, and affirmed his sentence. Billy Ray Turner serving his time at Turney Central Industrial Complex in Tennessee, where he is currently fulfilling his dream as a rapper. He has the Bucci Cat Chronicles Volume 4 that's dropping, just like the soap. Deborah was able to reunite with her own one grandson, Shamar, not long after Billy Ray was convicted. That's crazy. All those kids ain't messing with grandma. What grandma do?
Who knows? So now in 2025, the oldest child, Lorenzen Jr., he's 30. He did follow in his father's footsteps by playing college basketball at Robert Morris University. He later transitioned into a career as a basketball coach and a fitness expert. And he's employed by QC Investors and divides his time between Riverside, California and Memphis, Tennessee. Now, Lauren, she's 28 now. She pursued a career in healthcare. She's a registered nurse. She lives in Charlotte, North Carolina, and she is actually the guardian for her younger sister, Sophia. Now, the twin boys, Lamar and Shamar, they're 25, and they've embraced basketball, playing for the Southern Illinois University Edwardsville Cougars, and they've been pretty vocal about their experiences growing up after their father's death and their mother's incarceration. They've shared their stories on ESPN. It was a documentary called A Murder in Memphis, and they maintain a pretty low public profile, and they are known to reside in Houston. And like we said, the youngest one, Sophia, she lives with her sister in Charlotte, and she's currently a teenager at this point. So all of them, regardless of the craziness that they endured, I mean, they seem like they're thriving, which is wonderful to hear.
Horrible. So, okay, so that's the story about Lorenzen and Shady Sherra Wright.
You need to put in there pedophile somewhere because that bitch was like,
Oh yeah. I forgot she did.
pedo.
Yeah, baby, I like them young. All right. So now we are on to our next segment called
Love, Lies, and Alibis.
All right, here we go. We are on our segment called Love, Lies, and Alibis. And that's my first time ever doing it. You know that? And that's my first time actually saying Love, Lies, and Alibis after the music drop. So what we got, TG? If your partner went through your phone and found something questionable, but they were snooping, who's really in the wrong? I'll go first. I'll say you, the person that was doing something questionable. You gotta honor, respect your relationship. Real talk. I know y'all ain't expect me to say that, but it's the truth. Know what I'm saying? If you gotta be doing something on the slide or be slick about it, then you're my best bet to tell you don't do it at all. Our exit stays left. Know what I'm saying? Because what's done in the dark will be revealed to the light. Know what I'm saying? So I'm going to say that if it's a situation where an individual is doing something shady and old girl go through his phone or vice versa, the person to blame is not the girl that's going through the phone. The person to blame is the individual that's doing it. Now, if you went through my phone and didn't find nothing, I'm gonna be looking at you funny. But if you found something, then no, I'm not. You can't blame a person for that. It's the individual that's doing the dirt. So be careful out there, young kids.
Now, I've literally been pondering on this question all week. Like, who's in the wrong? Now, technically, not even technically, but by law, it is illegal for you to go through somebody's phone. So, by law, you are in the wrong for going through their phone because, yeah, they made that a law now. Now, I will say in the past, I had learned my lesson. When you go looking for something, 9 times out of 10, you're gonna find it. So, I'm gonna say you're both wrong because you shouldn't be going through their phones and they shouldn't be doing anything to make you go through their phones. Like I said, after that, I was like, if I feel that I have to go through your phone, we're just gonna break up because if I didn't feel the need to go through your phone, it's over with. Obviously, because we know as women, we know when y'all doing something. We can feel it. Like I said, because every time that I would back in the day when I would go through phones, I would always find something that I wish I didn't find. So we already know what it is before we go through their phones. So like I said, I'm like, after I hit, like I said, we broke up in 2015, and I was like, I'm never going through nobody else's phone. If I feel like I need to go through your phone, the relationship is over and done. So
I respect it. All right, so let's see what some of the people say. So I'm gonna say the person. I'm gonna be actually nice this time and say your name the right way because she's gonna put at the bottom. P.S. My name is pronounced like Tiana. Once you
I
have,
had to ask her. I said, "Well, it says Tayana." I mean,
know what I'm saying? I mean, spell it the right way. That's all I'm saying. Don't get that mad at me because you got extra consonants and vowels in there. Don't do that. Anyway, she said, I'm in the wrong, but I'll be forced to gaslight them. Like she was, quote unquote. It's just really crazy to me that you would go through my phone, invading my privacy. It's a deal breaker. And I don't think I can move forward in the relationship. She toxic. Yeah, I'm going to throw that out there just from that.
So Roy says the person doing wrong cannot be right no matter how you obtain the information.
All right. Christina said, if you look for something, you're always going to find something that may be questionable to you, but you might be looking at something out of context. True. Don't go snooping if you're not prepared to get your chest hurting.
Ooh,
okay.
Chest hurting. Ooh. So Janelle says, the snooper, all you have to communicate your issue. If you have to snoop, you're too far. And then T says, define questionable. LOL.
Said what?
T said define questionable.
All right, we're going to read two more. My boy DeWitt said, I did this, and I'm glad I did because I uncovered a Pandora's box. My bad, I said paradox. Pandora's box. Yeah, I like their charms. They're pretty nice. Anyway, I found out my wife was cheating. What led me to do this was the way she was moving and behaving. It was suspicious. To be honest with you, I wanted to be wrong in going through her phone, but it answered all the questions I was going on in my head because she was lying. So, hey, let me know if y'all still together, bro. Know what I'm saying? Y'all can make it work, man. I'm telling you. You can make it work.
Sometimes.
Yeah, know what I'm saying? Yeah, you got to work through it. Don't be so quick to give up.
Sometimes. So your BTCC sis, Brittany says, and you know Brittany a Virgo too. That's why we be on the same wavelength.
She
So
what? Oh
both,
yeah. We
yeah,
got
she said both.
we got a collab coming up too.
Yeah, so both are in the wrong. One, you shouldn't be doing anything behind your significant other's back, and two, you shouldn't be snooping in the first place. You fuck around and find out. Find yourself something safe to do. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. I agree with that 100%.
Man, she ain't even got no man. She don't know what she's talking about.
That okay? We have past experiences. I ain't got no man either.
And Tiffany said everyone. All right, so those were our comments left for the Love Lies and Alibi question. Remember, we dropped a question every Tuesday, so go ahead and check it out on Tuesday, and we will read. And I will try to say your name the proper way. If you got a funny name, a funny spelled name, you need to pronounce it to me like they used to do back in the day with the little ball that go over the letters to pronounce it. If that's what you need to do, by all means, do that. Make sure if you're listening, join our Love Lies and Alibis group. We family in here, man. We be having some good conversations, so make sure that
Tell
you
them where to
join
find it. They don't
on
know.
Facebook. My bad, you should jump in. It's on
I
Facebook.
mean,
They
but
pull up.
you never know. We may have somebody new and they don't know where we are. So
Oh, I'm sorry, it's on Facebook. Check it out, Love Lies Alibis, and we mess with people. We actually we one of the few people that actually like we interact with y'all. Like seriously, I be buying lunch and everything. So make sure
yeah,
you
because
check
they
us
done
out.
got what shot glasses, nurses week gifts.
Yeah, like we mess with y'all,
Love.
man. So yeah, make sure that y'all get on here. Drop, yeah, communicate. You know what I'm saying? Drop a topic. If it's funny, if it's something that's funny, I always look out for people. You know what I'm saying? Real quick. Oh yeah, just real quick. I just want to just make a real quick, for anybody. You know what I'm saying? I'm only saying this. I want to say again,
Don't
we
even say
all
it. Don't even say it.
okay, cool. Okay, say
Yeah,
less.
you
I'm
all.
glad. I'm
Don't even
glad.
say nothing.
Hey, so you know our
I'm
girl
already
Khadija.
thinking.
Oh, I think if I'm not mistaken, I believe that Khadija mom was able to see her grandkids too. I just saw a Facebook post that she made. I was trying to like right when we were doing the show. I believe that she was able to see her grandkids. So which is a blessing. I mean, she was actually be able to see her grandkids after what a year and a half, 2 years. But remember, Khadija, check it out, episode 9. That's our baby. We riding for her. Make sure you check out the episode. She does have a GoFundMe. Spread the word. We are not saying, and I'll repeat, we are not saying that she was not guilty of murder. We just saying that what they charged her with did not fit the situation, and they are giving her 34 years, and she did not deserve 34 years for that crime. Unfortunately, yes, a young man lost his life, and again, my sincere sympathy goes to the family. You know what I'm saying? My condolence go to the family. I can't even imagine. I'm just saying Khadija does have 4 children out here, and she deserves to be able to spend time with her kids and have a life with them before they get old. So make sure you check out episode 9. All right, go ahead. What's up?
Hi.
Who is that? That's the killer.
Yeah, I told you, I'm in the middle of recording an episode. Do you want to say hello, sir? Say who you are so they know who you are. I didn't have it recording then, but you are so full of yourself. Okay, so hold on. Willie, tell them what's up. Yeah.
What's up, killer? What's going on, man? I'm good, man. I'm good. How they treat you? Good in there, bro? I don't actually. I'm gonna be honest with you, but I can imagine though. But I can imagine though. Exactly.
So just make sure you are following us on social media. We are on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Melanin Mysteries Podcast, Love Lies and Alibis, Melanin Mysteries Facebook group. Then we have on June 12th, we will be in Atlanta. We pulling up with our favorite country girl, Renee from Melanin Mayhem. We are still working on the details, but we will announce those as soon as.
Damn.
Or I told you to call regular. Why do you be calling me on the free call? Call me back. Call me back. Bye. Um, Make sure you're we're
Hey,
still
did you
working
hear
on
me
the
though? Hey, look, I was like, what's up, killer? He like, what's up? Like, no, you are a killer.
Oh gosh. Okay, so June 12th, like I said, we're working out the details with Renee. We should have them hopefully this week. Like we said, we just really need to get a final number. We know that this is a last minute change, and again, we apologize. But we absolutely do not want to disappoint y'all. So that will be occurring. And then of course, July 12th, we have our event in Cleveland. We will be at the Cleveland Metro Park, the Bedford Reservation, from 3 to 8. It's family friendly. Bring your kids, bring your grandmama, bring everybody. We're just gonna have a really good time. It's free food. You get to shop with some dope Black vendors. If you're interested in being a vendor, please send us an email to podcast@melaninmysteries.com. Like I said, yes, it's gonna be a free event. It's gonna be so fun because we are celebrating 1 year of chaos and
Chaos.
craziness and shenanigans, and we would just love for you to celebrate with us.
Yes.
And I think that's all I got.
What up, killer? The dude gonna say, hey man, you know how it is. I'm like, no, I don't. All right, my bad. All right. Take us out right quick. Take us out. I'm done. Take us out. That was hilarious. Okay. Okay. Professional.
Remember. Oh yeah, we didn't even say who that was. Yeah, Amar Harris was. I don't even know what episode, like 20
Oh, so they didn't
something.
get it. Yes, Amar Harris. He was one of our the episode. He unalived somebody.
He blew up the LA Strip. Yeah.
Yeah, he blew up the LA Strip. He shot somebody. The person died and crashed into a car and killed other
It was
people.
episode 23. Yep, episode 23.
So now y'all get when I say what's up, killer. So that's what
Yeah,
y'all
so if you
get.
haven't listened to that episode, go listen to that episode.
Yes, it's a trip. Yeah, so we trying to get an interview with her. So I get Tiffany, prostituting her so she can sweet talk him to get an interview, so we can drop it as a special.
Yeah, one day he got an.
All right, make sure y'all listen out because we got something special for y'all this week. We dropping a special episode. Just throwing it out there.
Will be dropping. Yeah.
Take us out. Love don't cost a thing. Whatever you be saying.
So just remember, love should not come with a life sentence. So make sure you choose freedom and not felonies.
All right, take it easy.